Today I'll be reacting to being a British person in America. My friends, this should be a fascinating one. I'll always wonder if I would be able to adapt myself to the US culture. I think so. US is such an amazing country that makes things quite easier, but of course there is some difference between America and Europe, in this case Portugal. So this should be a really cool one. But before I go into that, let me ask you for one thing. If you can leave a like, thank you so much. It's the best way to show support. If you can subscribe, well, in that case, forget about it. You make my day. Have that in consideration. Now, link for the original video in my description, and let's play it.
Hello. So a question that I get asked quite often is, what's it like being a British person living in America?
It's a great question.
And it's sort of a hard question to answer in many ways because, I've lived here for 13 years. And so I almost sort of struggle to remember what it was like living in Britain as a British person.
Okay, this makes a lot of sense to be honest.
Because
basically, if you live so many years in that country, you are that country. So this is very fair from him. But I believe Lawrence will surprise us with some great points.
Because this right here, right now, is my reality and has been for now well over a decade. But to the best of my ability, I can recall and think that, being a Brit living in America is a sort of unusual experience in many ways. You do spend a lot of that early time, especially if you live in a kind of smallish city in Indiana where there aren't too many British people congregating. You will get quite a lot of questions about your accent. And I kind of liked that, to be honest, as an introvert, because it was kind of an icebreaker. And so if you're stuck for things to say and you don't want to resort to, isn't the weather terrible again today, it's sort of nice that people clock your accent. I can see how it would get annoying for a lot of people, but not for me.
Okay, this is very interesting actually, my friends. And one of the things, and I guess I can share my fear, better saying, with you, is when I go to America, if people will have some type of problem understanding me. I know a lot of you guys say my English is okay, but I always, of course I don't feel super confident not being my main language. I always try my best. Sometimes I completely destroy certain words, but this is something that makes me a bit, not so confident. Also the accent, so trying to connect both things, the accent probably does not help, right? And I know the British accent is a beautiful one, but I personally don't consider my accent that crazy. You guys think I'm Russian, so I don't even know if that's a compliment or not. But this is a fair point by him. Actually, I'll run it back a bit more, because the accent for sure can be, an icebreaker.
Things to say and you don't want to resort to, isn't the weather terrible again today, it's sort of nice that people clock your accent. I can see how it would get annoying for a lot of people, but not for me. I really quite enjoyed it. And that would usually consist of Americans asking me to say words like tomato or water or squirrel or things like that. Basically, you're a performing monkey just for a little bit, and that's fine. I didn't get paid for it, sadly. I should say that
this is Indiana, my friends. Indiana is Midwest, right?
Since I've moved to Chicago, I don't really get those questions very often anymore. And I think it's just down to the fact that Chicago's a bit more of a cosmopolitan area. It's not so unusual to encounter somebody with an accent, specifically in this case, a British accent. So in many ways, that's...
So a fun fact, my friends, Chicago is one of the cities that watches my channel the most. Like, I can see that on my stats. And yeah, I love my Chicago viewers.
Sad, and I have to think of other things now to say to people, and it usually is about the weather. So I've regressed. But that isn't the entirety of the experience here. I think that a lot of Americans, when they speak to me, they're not asking about the accent as such. They might clock it, they might realize that I'm from England, but they don't take that line of questioning any further. They might ask, though, about the history of my country or a specific episode within that history. One thing that was coming up a few years ago all the time was, isn't it extraordinary that they found King Richard III underneath a car park No American ever said car park, but you get the general picture. And I responded with, yes, it is amazing. It is amazing. I'm looking back at my country now with this newfound sense of kind of pride, because I'm looking at it with these Americans, maybe more astounded about a news event like that than I would have been had I lived in England, I think. And
okay, kind of related with this, someone told me the other day that there is a big Portuguese community in, oh my god, now I forgot the name of the city, New Jersey. I did not fact check this, by the way, but you know.
You know, it still astounds me that they found a brutal dictator underneath a Ford Capri. But one of the obvious things, and something that I talk about on my channel, is not the sort of the thing that brings you together, but it's the differences, of course, that make living here as a Brit quite confusing at times. Now,
you know, okay, this may be a hot take, and some people may not agree with what I'm about to say, but I think what makes America great, honestly, there is a lot of things that make America great, but one of the things is the differences, like actually he's saying, the diversity that you guys have. You guys have people from different cultures, and I think they add so much to that country. A lot of you guys tell me, André, my ancestry is from Italy, my ancestry is from, I don't know, China. No, China actually, that does not happen that much. Ireland, and you know, that's, for me, that's crazy cool. And that's quite unique, if you ask me, because here in Portugal, most of us Portuguese, ancestry. Of course, there is exceptions, and all of those people are welcome, but it's very heavy in terms of. Okay, what the hell I'm saying? In terms of being Portuguese, I guess that makes sense. But yeah.
You know, when I moved here, I've said this before, I made it my goal, my mission, I think, in many ways, to embrace the lifestyle around me and the things that I encountered. But sometimes, you know, even in doing that, there was a sense of uncertainty. You know, you'd hear...
Okay, I will run that part back, but I want to add another thing that I think is important. When I started reacting to America, I thought this would be a quick channel. I may do 10 videos and then I may react to different topics, because I thought, you know what is, I know America is a great country, but I react to certain cities and that's it. I know now the sun's them, but I did not realize how unique America is. You know, that's the stuff I had no idea. When I react to Texas, it's so different than when I react to Montana. When I react to Montana, it's so different than when I react to, Illinois, Chicago. And that fascinates me a lot. Now I'm basically in a quest to try to react to all the states and to a bunch of different cities. And that content actually, I feel like I'm talking too much today. But that content actually has been very well received and makes me very happy for that. And if you like that type of content, you can do it also in this video, but even in the other videos, always feel free to leave a like, because I can measure my, not my success on YouTube, because that's a different story and does not even matter that much. But basically, if I'm making you guys happy, and for me that's very important, and I'm also having a great time. So I know I ask for the like quite a lot, but it is really that important.
Sometimes, even in doing that, there was a sense of uncertainty. You'd hear concepts and phrases that you've never heard of. And these can consist, of course, of words, spellings, pronunciation, but we could also be talking about food, as I do, routinely on my channel, but also just things to do with everyday life. I think it's a testament to just how widespread all of the differences are between our two countries that I've been able to make a living out of talking about them for 6 years. And I haven't stopped yet. There's still so much more to get to grips with on this subject. And you could be forgiven for thinking that, oh, Lawrence has lived here for 13 years. He's surely learned everything now. But I don't. I learn new things every day. Like, it was only this year that I found out that my wife and Americans in general pronounce centrifugal as centrifugal, which blew my mind. Because it's not a word I use every day for obvious reasons. That kind of thing still comes up to this day. So you never stop learning, that's for sure. But I would say this, I would say two things. Enjoy it for what it is, You know, I encounter so many British people who move here who just sort of long for the things that they've left behind in Britain, even though you can just get them shipped here. It is more expensive to do that, granted. But I would just...
Okay, now related again with this, I'm thinking about going to America soon. Soon is probably next year, since my kid is still a baby. But I will enjoy every moment. I feel like I'm so well prepared to enjoy America at this point. And I will try to go to different states. Of course, there is a lot of logistic behind this type of stuff. And as you can imagine, it's not cheap to, stay in America for, let's say, 15 days. That's more or less what I'm thinking about. But I will, try to enjoy every moment, and of course also record every moment. Not every moment, but most of the moments, because I feel like I have to share this with all of you.
Just say, no, if you're going to live here, you might as well try to enjoy it, right? So that's exactly...
Okay, I also want to talk about this, because as you can imagine, I actually got a lot of questions if I'm thinking about moving to America to live. The answer is very simple and is no. The reason? Well, there is not one reason, but I would say that I have a pretty good life here in Portugal. I don't even try to pretend that I don't. I have a pretty good life here in Portugal, and I love my country also. So it's difficult for me at this point to imagine moving to America. I have my family, it's very difficult to me to imagine living behind my country. As you probably feel if I would ask you, are you thinking about coming to Europe? No chance. But yeah, visiting America, I pretend to do this for the rest of my life and multiple times,
what I do. And the other thing is, use your accent to your advantage. Americans incorrectly believe that I'm somehow intelligent, and that's been very useful for selling this channel. But when they find out the truth, I'm on borrowed time. Mostly it's...
I don't think my viewers think I'm intelligent because of my accent.
It's light-hearted. I don't use it in a kind of vindictive or mean way. I'm just very aware that when, I speak to people, there's a certain connotation that comes with that, whether it's true or not. And in most cases, it's really untrue.
My favorite accent in America is the accent from the South. I love it.
I think at the end of the day, we joke about the sort of communication barrier between our two countries, but at least you're not learning a whole new language. And so, you are going to a place that's somewhat like Britain in terms of that. For all of its alienness, it's not 100% alien. But you know what is 100% alien? The film Alien, which was brought to us, as it happens, by a joint British and American production crew. I don't really know why I'm mentioning this, other than to point out the fact that when Brits and Americans work together, we can produce greatness. And an even better sequel, so all that to say, stay tuned for my next video. I'm Lawrence Brown, you can follow me on Twitter, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so that my videos don't get lost in the pond. Thank you as ever to my patrons who make these videos possible. If you would like to become a patron of Lost in the Pond, you can do so today at patreon.com/lostinthepond. Until the next video, goodbye.
Hey, goodbye, my friend. Okay. 7 question Brits always ask me about American and its people. Why is American bread so sweet? I have been thinking about watching this video because actually I don't know the answer for that. But you guys tell me that American bread is very sweet. André, you are completely going out of the topic. I know, but I want to watch that video. Leave me the number 11 if I should watch this one. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this with me. And if you leave the number 11, I know you end up staying until the end. But yeah, thank you so much for watching this with me. Really means a lot that you guys end up staying until the end. See you guys in the next one. Bye, my friends.